What's up, sports fans? My name is Ryan Kostrowski. This is Wisconsin Sports Talk. Why don't you sit down, grab yourself a cup of coffee. Let's preview the Kings versus the Bucks tonight. Now, if you're watching this later in the day, grab yourself a Miller Lite, grab a whiskey, whatever makes you happy. But we got a good game coming up tonight. I'm really excited from this one. A lot of you guys know that I do a lot of daily fantasy sports stuff. My other YouTube channel, the DFS 5-Pack, we break things down from a daily fantasy sports side. This game should be exciting. I expect the Kings to keep it relevant. We'll get into why that is. And it should be a lot of fantasy points to go along for both teams, knowing that just what a phonetic pace you should really expect out of this game. All right, guys. Again, if you're new to the station, as I've already mentioned, my name is Ryan Kostrowski. This is Wisconsin Sports Talk. We're going to talk Bucks, Brewers, Packers. Obviously, we are in the midst right now of the Milwaukee Bucks being the #1 seed in all of the NBA right now. A very exciting time for Milwaukee sports fans, Wisconsin sports fans as a whole. It's never been like this. I've been alive for almost 40 years now, and at no point have the Bucks been arguably the best team in the NBA. So this is really, really exciting. Great for the city of Milwaukee. We got the new stadium and everything like that. So this is fantastic and a lot of fun to talk about. If you are new to the station, again, kind of talked about it already. It's just going to be Bucks, Brewers, and Packers, guys. We're here to talk sports as much as we can. I sincerely appreciate anybody who hits the subscribe button for more videos. It does help me kind of get this thing rolling. I got another YouTube channel, the DFS 5-Pack, where we talk daily fantasy sports. Getting a station like this established, it's not easy. So the thumbs up, the subscribe, those things do really help me get going. So it is sincerely appreciated from anybody willing to do that. A little bit about me, if you don't know already, born and raised in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Again, I've mentioned it already. I evaluate daily fantasy sports for a living. Yeah, I probably bring a little bit more of a boring approach to the game than some people are looking for. It's a little bit more on the analytical side, but that's the stuff that gets me excited. I like numbers. I like looking at teams' weaknesses and how they can be exposed. It's a little boring for some people, but it gets me, very, very excited to talk sports about this kind of thing. So again, we got Bucks at Kings tonight. Milwaukee comes into this game as approximately a 5-point favorite, depending on where you look. And I'll tell you guys, for a lot of you just casual NBA fans, casual Bucks fans, don't sleep on this Kings team. It is a young, up-and-coming team. They've been playing some good basketball the last couple of times out. They got a good number of good young players. Now, they don't have that veteran leader that they need. They just got Harrison Barnes at the trade deadline, which maybe he can bring a little bit of that from his time with the Warriors. But overall, this is a team on the come-up, and they got some good players. And if Milwaukee doesn't treat them with the respect that they deserve, they could take an L tonight in Sacramento. They wiped the floor with Sacramento earlier this year at Pfizer Forum. Milwaukee won by, I believe, 35 points. It was an absolute shit show on the part of the Kings. It doesn't mean that's the way it's going to break down tonight. This Kings team cannot be slept on. Milwaukee's the better team by a good margin, don't get me wrong, but you can't sleep on these Kings. So hopefully they come in tonight ready to play. From a sports betting angle, for anybody who likes to do that, I don't bet a lot of sports, but it does require me doing daily fantasy sports analysis to really look at things from a sports betting angle. As far as the Bucks -5, I don't like either side of that. That's not something I would look at. I do like the over on the point total, though. It's currently at 233.5. These are two of the top pace teams in the entire league. I believe Sacramento's 3 or 4 and Milwaukee's #7. But the thing about that is Milwaukee's should be higher than #7, but because of their 30-plus double-digit wins, there's a lot of really slow moments in the fourth quarter of these games because of all their blowout victories that makes them look like a little bit slower than they are. I mean, #7 is nothing to shake a stick at, but they could legitimately be argued into the top 5. So we got two really good teams, really fast teams. And if shots are going down early, I mean, if you guys remember the game against the Wizards a couple of weeks ago where I want to say Milwaukee almost hit 150 points and the over-under total had to be like 280. This game has got that kind of potential. Now, I'm not saying they're getting to 280, guys. I'm not delusional. That is once a year type of point totals, but I mean, 250 is not unrealistic. So if I were to be a sports bettor for the day and I were to place a wager, I would bet the over on the 235 or the 233.5. Any key injuries to note going in this game? Not really. We all know Giannis got the day off the other day in Chicago, and they called it a knee injury, but that's just some more of that NBA BS. The playoffs are coming up here. We only got whatever, month and a half left of the season, whatever it might be. And they're just giving him a maintenance day. So Giannis is back tonight. He's listed as probable. He could have played the other day if he wanted to, but they saw a weaker opponent, the Chicago Bulls. They took advantage of it, so they called it a maintenance day. George Hill and Sterling Brown are out tonight for the Bucks. All right, I like both of those players, but that doesn't really affect Milwaukee in this game. They are so deep with talent that there's really no concerns. Nikola Mirotic continues to get more minutes. I know for some of you guys, if you don't know much about Mirotic, former Bulls, former Pelicans player, you've watched him. If you watch these games, man, that guy can stretch the floor. He was a great ad for Milwaukee, and he is a guy that I mark my words right now, he will win at least 2 playoff games for Milwaukee with his streaky three-point shooting. But when he's on, he can flat out give you one of those wins. Think about him like a home run hitter. And for you Brewers fans, just think about another guy who can come in and hit one of those Jesus Aguilar bombs. It is the basketball equivalent of that. He'll go 5 for 7 in some games, stretch the floor, let Giannis get to the rack. I'm excited about it, but he continues to work his way back from injury. He was out for like a month when he was with the Pelicans, so he's still getting healthier. You haven't seen anything yet from Nikola Mirotic, minus a couple minutes stretch he had in his second game. This one slipped by me prior to the game that we signed Isaiah Cannon. He's kind of a journeyman throughout the NBA. He'll be around for a little bit while Hill is on the mend. I doubt he'll probably stick with Milwaukee long-term. It's a guy who just can't seem to find a team, although he is another guy who can shoot. Saw him come in, and he was actually a catalyst to helping the Bucks get back into that game against the Bulls after a really bad first quarter. But overall, no real key injuries to worry about in this game. So who wins? I mean, that's the question we all want to find out. It's why we're going to watch this game tonight. It's what we want to know. The Bucks, I think, will win. They're favored by 5 for a reason. But I do want to reiterate that at the end of the night, this is not a game that I would be shocked to watch the Milwaukee Bucks lose. They're the favorite. They should be favored. They are the #1 record in the NBA. Obviously, they should be favored in pretty much any game, with the exceptions of being at Golden State, maybe being at Oklahoma City and things like that. But again, I will say this one repeatedly throughout the video. We cannot sleep on the Sacramento team. They're coming in tonight confident. They played the Warriors on the road the other day, played them down. Very competitive game for 4 quarters, lost by a couple of points. They beat the Thunder. Now, I will say, to defend the Thunder in the situation, they were coming off a double OT game with travel. Bad spot for a team to be in. But the Kings did their job and won that game. They also played a really, really competitive game against an underrated Nuggets team. So the Kings come in tonight confident. They are also currently sitting as a #9 seed in the West right now, and it means a lot for this team to get into the playoffs. They have not been there in forever. It's also one of those situations like Milwaukee last year, where you creep into the bottom half of the playoffs. But that 7-game series with the Celtics last year that Milwaukee eventually lost in the 7th game, I think that will do wonders for them this year come playoff times. They got that some of the experience that they needed. So expect a good fight from the Kings tonight. And if Buddy Hield's on fire, or Bogdanovich is absolutely cruising from the outside, we are susceptible to a loss in this game. I hope we don't overlook them. We're matched up with King James Friday night against the Lakers in LA. Got a big, West Coast road trip going right now. I hope we don't overlook them tonight, because if we do, don't expect if we get down, and we could get down early. Now, fortunately, the Bucks have fought back a number of times this year. You can think of that game in Chicago where they flipped the script in the 3rd quarter, and I think they were plus 37 after being down 15. But the other thing I think Milwaukee has working for them right now is they're not sleeping on people. They haven't really done it all year. And also, Milwaukee's only 2 games up for that #1 seed. I think that means a lot to the Bucks this year. It's not something you've seen them get in a really, really long time. So that they are motivated to get that #1 seed, have home court throughout the playoffs. And that might mean a lot. If you get down to Game 7 against a team like Toronto or Philly or even Boston, having that last game at home could mean a lot. And, if we are fortunate enough to make it to the finals, you don't think you want Game 7 at home against Golden State? And if that potentially were to happen, that's another situation that can mean a lot. So every game matters for Milwaukee. It's a big reason I expect them to win this game. They're not taking anybody lightly. I'm sure they know who the Kings are. They got a lot of up-and-coming talent. So hopefully we do not shit the bed tonight. Now, for those of you guys, again, that might be casual, NBA fans like the Bucks, but don't know a lot about this team. They're going to have some young guns. For some of you guys who maybe watch the NCAA tournament, you might know about a few of these guys. For me, it starts with De'Aaron Fox at the point guard position. Very, very fast. This is one of the advantages I think Milwaukee has, though. I don't like the matchup for De'Aaron Fox to be guarded by Eric Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe is a crafty veteran, very strong. We've seen him really make opposing point guards struggle all season long. It's why in DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports, despite the frenetic pace, you don't really like to use point guards against Milwaukee. Eric Bledsoe is one of the better on-ball defenders at the point guard position. I like Fox a lot, but this is a situation where I do not think the matchup personally favors him tonight. I think this is a good spot for Bledsoe to really, exert his dominance once again. Another name you guys might be familiar with would be Marvin Bagley. He was the second overall pick in the draft this year. Started out a little bit slower. They kind of handled him with kids' gloves early on, but lately the gloves are off. They're letting this guy play. They inserted him into the starting lineup the other day. I think it's one of the only times he started this year, and it wasn't because of injury this time. Like, he started because I think they finally said, this is our dude. We're ready. We're 3/4 of the way into his rookie season. I'm expecting him to start tonight, although I have no confirmation of that. This guy can flat out play. Now, I don't think the Bucks are a perfect matchup for him either, but because of what he brings to the table and because of he's had a spike in minutes, I actually do like him in daily fantasy today as well. But Marvin Bagley is a stud. He's actually throwing his hat in the ring for the best rookie. It's been Luka Doncic all season, but Trae Young has really come on lately. And Marvin Bagley is making a real case to be Rookie of the Year. It's going to be Doncic, and it should be Doncic. But I do think Marvin Bagley is going to show you over the last 20 games that he may outplay Doncic from an overall perspective, and that he may very well end up being the best overall guy in this draft. Now, Doncic, for those of you guys who don't know much about Luka over in Dallas, very, very ahead of his time as a 19-year-old coming over from Europe, playing professional ball. He was like 2 years old or whatever it was. So he's a little bit more seasoned coming into this. But Bagley's ceiling is higher just because of more raw athleticism that Doncic just doesn't have. They got a guy coming off the bench. He's been starting. He's been on the bench, but Bogdan Bogdanovic, this guy could flat out play too. I believe he's from Serbia, if I remember correctly. I might have that one wrong, so don't quote me on it, but he's a good player, kind of a pseudo point guard, shooting guard. Buddy Hield is another name that might be familiar to some of you guys. Looked like a bust for a little while. He's really come into his own this year. You might have seen him in the three-point contest. Look pretty good for portions of this guy can shoot the ball. And if he's rolling tonight, we have seen from times this year that Milwaukee will get a little lax defensively and they can get torched from the outside. Buddy Hield's the X factor in this game that could really give them an opportunity to take down the number 1 seed Bucks as of right now. And then they got other guys that can fill in around here. This team's good. They got players. Harrison Barnes, they just got the trade deadline. He would be the veteran of the team. Willie Cauley-Stein is another guy they have that brings, he's got a little game. Bielisa, I don't even know if he's in the rotation right now. I know he has really seen his role decrease throughout the year. They got guys like Yogi Ferrell and things like that. Like, they have options on the bench if their starters just aren't playing well that day that they can come in. But most of the guys that we went over are the guys you need to really fear the situation. All right, from a DFS angle, again, if you guys have never played on DraftKings or FanDuel, my name's Ryan. I have another YouTube channel called the DFS 5-Pack where we talk over daily fantasy sports every day. Just to throw a little bit in there about what there is to like in this game tonight, I've already mentioned that on the Kings side of things, I like Marvin Bagley, especially if he's going to be in the starting lineup again. Not that you need him to start. He's more than capable of coming off the bench and supplying big-time value. We've seen it a bunch of times already. It just makes me feel a little bit safer that that the coach is leaning towards giving him those 30-plus minutes. You can't score points if you don't play minutes. I think even non-daily fantasy sports players are going to get that one. You need him to be on the court. So Bagley would be my favorite of the Kings guys. I've already talked about how I don't like Fox tonight. I think Buddy Hield is a guy that would have some potential upside if the shot's falling. And Harrison Barnes could be a wild card as well. From the Bucks side of things, guys, this is going to be a Giannis night. I think you're going to see the best of the MVP right now. He got that day off. Giannis gets to the rim with reckless abandon. We all know this. The Kings don't have the rim protection. It's the other reason I think specifically Milwaukee, besides just the fact they're better, should be a favorite in this game. They are really hard to beat if you can't keep them away from the rim. Giannis is the best, but Bledsoe can get to the rim, at will whenever he really wants to. He doesn't do it a lot because he does more facilitating and because Giannis has the ball so much. Malcolm Brogdon is one of those crafty guys that gets to the rim and you don't even know how he got by you. If you can't protect the rim, it's very hard to beat Milwaukee. I mean, it's hard to beat them in general, but if you don't have one of those stout centers, Marc Gasol, Rudy Gobert, for example, and they can just do what they want. And I like Willie Cauley-Stein, but he ain't that dude. It does make things difficult on you. So I love Giannis today. I expect a big performance from him. I mean, Brook Lopez has been a staple of consistency ever since trading Thon Maker. He's really the only center that we have. So Mirotic and Ersan will come in and play some minutes at the big. And if they go small, which you can do against the Kings, that's all right. But Lopez is playing big minutes, and it's been the most underrated signing in the NBA this year has been Brook Lopez. I loved it when they signed it. I love it a million times more right now. His three-point shooting to spread the floor to let Giannis get to the hoop, and Brogdon and Bledsoe. His defense, he's been throwing a block party lately. I love me some Brook Lopez. Malcolm Brogdon is solid every single day for DFS. And then if you're looking to take a shot, check out Mirotic. This could be a spot where he goes off tonight if that three ball is falling and he's aggressive. You've watched his minutes go up game after game. I think Mirotic is a guy you could look at in more of a tournament setting tonight for those of you playing a little DFS. All right, guys. If you haven't done it yet, please hit the subscribe button. It will help me out a lot. Sincerely appreciated. But also, I'm going to have a young man on here tomorrow named Josh Van Boxtel. And this is what I want the show to be about. Yeah, it's mostly going to be me giving my sports takes, but I'd like to bring other people on here. Sports fans of the Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Josh is a lifelong Bucks fan. I put up a video on my other channel the other day to talk about, looking for people to come on here, and he reached out to me. He used to work for the Bucks for a few years doing ticket sales for him. He feels like it's kind of a sweet spot. We'll get on here tomorrow and talk. I'll review this game just a touch, and then we'll talk about the preview of the Lakers game on Friday night as we got Giannis headed out to LA to take on King James, guys. So should be a good one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thumbs up is appreciated. Hit that red button that says subscribe, and I will see you guys a little bit later. Have a good one, and go Bucks.